Unemployment is one of the crucial macroeconomic problems faced by both developed and developing countries. Unemployment also can be defined as someone of working age who could not find any job and wished to be in a full-time employment. In this research, the dependent variable used is unemployment rate, while for the independent variable are inflation, economic growth, foreign direct investment, minimum wages, and population. Next, we move on to the problem statement. Employment rate contribute to the economic growth and development. In addition, high employment opportunity means that it is possible to generate a larger amount of goods and services in the country. However, due to COVID-19 outbreak, the unemployment rate has increased drastically in 2020 over the world, including Asia countries. In Thailand, it slightly increased from 1% to 1.1% in the first quarter of 2020. This indicates that COVID-19 has a negative impact towards an employment rate. For the research objective, the main objective of this research is to investigate the relationship between inflation, economic growth, foreign direct investment, minimum wages, and population towards unemployment rate in 5 Asian countries, namely Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. Next, we move on to the scope of the studies. The scope of this research is the 5 Asian countries. Other than that, this research also focuses on microeconomic variables, which are inflation, economic growth, and foreign direct investment, while for the microeconomic variables, it consists of wages and population. Both of these two categories of variables can affect the unemployment rate in Asian countries, either positive or negative relationship. Next, the limitation of studies. First is lack of available data. As our group focuses on 5 Asian countries, we have found that there is an obstacle to obtain information and data based on unemployment rate in these selected countries. Second is lack of accessible information. This happened due to difficulty to access the scholarly journals, articles, and any related resources for this topic. Third is lack of previous studies in chosen area by researcher. In this research, we discovered that there is a little similar research conducted by previous researcher, which hidden the credibility and scope of our studies. Next, we proceed to literature review. The theory used in this research are: first is Philip curve theory, which explains the relationship between inflation and unemployment rate. Second is Ocon law theory, which explains the relationship between economic growth and unemployment rate. The third one is FDI theory, which explains the relationship between foreign direct investment and unemployment rate. The fourth is classical and Keynesian theory, which indicate the relationship between minimum wages and unemployment rate. And lastly is Malthusian theory and optimum theory, which explain the relationship between population and unemployment rate. Next, we proceed to empirical literature review. First, relationship between inflation and unemployment rate. According to Vangeli and Agoli 2017 and Maduku and Kasuram in 2018, they found that there is a negative relationship between inflation and unemployment rate. Second is relationship between economic growth and unemployment rate. Based on Dare and Heck 2016 and McLernor in 2010, the study shows that there is a negative between economic growth and unemployment rate. Okay, the third one is the relationship between foreign direct investment and unemployment rate. According to the Vidya, Widwan, and Moharja in 2019, and also Johnny Tempura, Corkerman, and Mark Jackson in 2018, they found that there is a negative relationship between the FDI and unemployment rate. The fourth one is relationship between minimum wages and unemployment rate. According to Kemal and Ko Chaman 2019, and also according to the Alfred, Roth, and Seldel in 2018, there's a negative relationship between minimum wages and unemployment rate. Lastly, the relationship between population and unemployment rate. Based on O Wan Chu Wu 2017, and according to the Rabiu, Saidu, Matari, and Nafisa in 2019, there is a positive relationship between population and unemployment rate. Next, we move on to theoretical framework. Two variables that have been discussed in this research are dependent variable and independent variable. Dependent variable is a variable that depends on other factors that are measured in either positive or negative ways. Meanwhile, independent variable is the variable that controls and assumed to have a direction effect on dependent variable. The relationship between dependent variable and independent variables are derived by considering the Philip curve theory, Okun's law, classical and Keynesian theory, the bargaining model, and Malthusian theory. These theories are evident to support the theoretical framework. Next is methodology. The method that we use in this study is quantitative research method. Quantitative research explores the relationship between variables that use a variety of statistical and graphical methods to be calculated numerically and analyzed. The data used is annual time series data from 1985 until 2020, which consists of 35 observations. The data obtained are from Microtrend, Kioma, Index Moodin, Y-Chart, Statista, the global economy, and also World Bank. Next, we move on to findings and analysis for Thailand. Firstly, I rerun the first diagnostic check, which is variance inflation factor, to check the multi-correlation tree. It exists when the independent variables in a regression are related with each other. Thus, it is used to identify any high-strength relationship among the independent variable. The rule of thumb for VIF is score range between 1 and 5 is acceptable. Since the VIF for Bob is more than 5, I have to eliminate one of the variable from this model. Therefore, I have to drop Bob and rerun the VIF test without Bob. Okay, next, I rerun the data. However, since the VIF for MW is more than 5, I need to eliminate one more variable from this model. Therefore, I have to drop MW and rerun VIF test again without MW. After the third rerun the VIF test, all the variables had VIF score less than 5. Therefore, I accept these variables, which is INF, GDP, and FDI. The second diagnostic check is Dubin-Watson for serial correlation test. The rule of thumb is a DW stat has to fall within the range of 1.5 to 2.5. If the DW stat did not fall within the range, serial correlation between the error term exists. As for Thailand, the DW stat did not fall within the range of 1.5 to 2.5 with 0.64 as shown in the figure. This indicates that the serial correlation between the error term exists. Therefore, I must run a Bush-Godfrey test to minimize the residual correlation. Next, I have run the Bush-Godfrey test and the test statistic follow chi-square distribution. The DW stat for Thailand is 1.74, which is within the range of 1.5 to 2.5. Therefore, I have enough evidence to reject the H0 and the error term or residual do not suffer a severe serial correlation at second order. Next, I run the third diagnostic check, which is normality test on residual to ensure the probability of the sample is taken from a normal population. The time series data must form a bell-shaped curve where it indicates a normal probability distribution in the histogram. The rule of thumb is I cannot reject the H0 if the p-value of Jacobera is significant, which is below than 0.5. It is concluded that the residual are not normally distributed. As for Thailand, the p-value of Jacobera is 0.517980, which is more than 0.01, and it is considered insignificant. Thus, I have enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis and may conclude that the residual are normally distributed for sample of this time series model. Okay, now I continue with the basic time series analysis, which is regression. Next, we move on to the multiple regression, consists of t-stat, adjusted R, and f-stat. Okay, for the t-stat, x1, the p-value for inflation is 0.4636. It has a 10% significant level, thus it is insignificant. I do not have enough evidence to reject H0 since the p-value is insignificant. Thus, inflation has no relationship with unemployment rate. Okay, for the x2, the p-value is significant at 5% level at 95% confidence level, which the p-value is 0.021. Thus, I have enough evidence to reject H0 and conclude that economic growth has relationship with unemployment rate. For the X3, the p-value for foreign direct investment is significant at 1%, level at 99% confidence level, which the p-value is 0.0000. Therefore, I have enough evidence to reject Hashna and conclude that foreign direct investment has relationship between unemployment rate. Okay, the second is adjusted R-squared. For Thailand, the adjusted R-squared is 0.539616. It indicates that 53.96% of the variation in dependent variable can be explained by economic growth and the foreign direct investment FDI in the model. The remaining 46.04% is due to omission of the other important independent variable. Okay, the last part is F statistic. Okay, the table in the slide shows the Thailand's F statistic. Based on F stat, I have enough evidence to reject null hypothesis because the p-value is significant level of F statistic with 1%. Therefore, I can conclude that there is a significant relationship between economic growth, GDP, and foreign direct investment FDI with unemployment rate. Next, we move on to the implication of the study. Okay, first, significant to central bank as policymaker. Through this research, it is crucial to identify the factors of unemployment rate because it is an indicator for the country economic growth. The key to successful economic growth is maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rate. Central bank can find useful information in this research to adequately understand the factor of unemployment. Okay, the second one is significant to investor. This research helps investors plan their investment better. The investor use recent unemployment statistics to judge which sectors are losing jobs rapidly and the overall economy. This research will help the investor to determine which sector mutual fund to sell. By analyzing the statistics, the mutual fund sectors can also be critical for them because it can identify the profit and loss. Okay, the third one is significant for future research. This study theoretically contribute to the future researches by discovering various theories such as Okun's law, Billig curves, and many more. Therefore, future research or analysts may benefit from this research if they wish to further their study on the causes that could influence the unemployment rate. Okay, the fourth is significant to organization. Through this research, it is critical for the organization to identify the factors of unemployment rate such as inflation, economic growth, foreign direct investment, minimum wages, and population. This is because they manage to understand on how to handle the labor market. Moreover, the business can improve the management by giving the right employee benefits and compensation to captivate potential employee. Last but not least is significant for the society. Unemployment is not only giving an impact towards the economy but also has an effect to the society as well. When the unemployment rate keeps increasing among society, there will be higher crime issues and a reduced rate of voluntarism. For through this research, it will definitely open the mind of our society. As for the conclusion from previous result, Thailand has a positive influence on economic growth and negative influence in FDI. Therefore, the related parties such as policymakers in this country should play their significant roles in order to reduce the unemployment rate. Last but not least is recommendation. As for Thailand, there are several recommendations to improve their economic growth and to reduce the unemployment rate. For every country, it is crucial for them to boost their economic growth as it will give numerous benefits towards the countries as well. For instance, higher output and positive economic growth will lower the unemployment rate in the country. Therefore, parties such as policymakers, organizations, and society should come up with most effective way in order to boost a country's economic growth and reducing unemployment rate. Thailand should create more job opportunity for the society as it will bring more production and returns to firms and a country as well. For the Thailand society, higher economic growth will bring them to higher standard of living since the government has more tax revenue and provide them with public facilities. Future researchers, FDI can be used as their future studies by suggesting new solutions or ideas on how to improve FDI in a country and reducing the unemployment rate as well.